Communication. Does it ring a bell, like when someone talks about communication? Like, what crosses your mind if someone says communication? So, like today, I'm here to talk about communication because I just wanted to enlighten you guys about this topic. Very many people hear the word communication and they just take it for granted. So today we are going to talk about that briefly, or we'll just dive into it. And just a kind reminder, in case you haven't subscribed, you can always smash on the subscribe button. In case there's anything you want to share with us, you can always leave us a comment. You can always share with your friends in case you found it interesting and you want your friends to also learn from this video. You can always share it on your statuses so that they can also get to view or watch the video. Back to the topic, communication. So what is communication? To my understanding, communication, this is a means of transferring messages, information to the recipient. But most of the times, we try to communicate to people and they don't get to understand what we are communicating. And why is it that so? Reason being, like maybe you're using a different language, or with the language which you're using, the other party doesn't understand it. Maybe for you perceive that they understand, but actually they don't understand it very well. Sometimes, let me say, you can be communicating to someone who is deaf. You talk, but the other person doesn't even understand anything. So how do we get to make the other party or the recipient get the information or get the message which we are trying to deliver? So there are different types of communication. Let me say there is verbal communication, like you talk to each other, like verbally. You communicate via a word of mouth. So there is also another type of communication which is messaging. You send someone a message. There's also sign language, whereby you can use sign language for the other person to understand what you're trying to deliver. And why is communication so important? Communication, like for example, in a relationship, at a workplace, in the family, it's very important. Reason being, if there is no communication, very many things can go bizarre. For example, let me say at the workplace, like in case like your employer or like your boss is a good communicator, even the working environment can be like good, because like when he communicates something, you're definitely going to understand it and you're going to do or perform your work according to his expectations, because he explained to you very well what he wanted and you did exactly to his expectations, or even to you surpass the expectations. But this is because the communication was very good. But let's take an example where the boss or the manager is not good at communicating. Like he's trying to communicate this, and then actually he ends up communicating something else. So like the information he really wanted to pass on to the employees, it's not going to be well received by the recipient because the communicator was not that good. And another thing, let me say, for example, in marriage or in a relationship, like you really need to work on communication in a relationship, because like if your partner, if let me say if you're not in good terms with your partner and then you decide to keep quiet, like is that a fruitful relationship or a fruitful marriage? Will that lead to a fruitful marriage or relationship? Definitely not, because at the end of the day you're going to be doing things the other way around, and then the partner is going to be angry all the time because like he's not understanding your ways. And I personally, I believe that when the communication is good in a relationship, like even the parties, they get a peace of mind. You get, because you feel free to each other. You feel like you can communicate anything. Like there's no day you're going to be there perturbed with something and you can't let it out. Even when your partner annoys you, you're definitely going to talk about it with that person, because if you don't table it, even the partner will not even know whether he annoyed you or you're angry with him or her. So at the end of the day, you're going to live in that environment which is not harmonious, which is not peaceful and without harmony. Reason being, you didn't communicate. But it's always better, like when you feel like there's something nagging you about your partner, or like he's doing things which you don't really like, anything. Anyway, like it's always better to be good at communicating. And when you're communicating, make sure that the recipient gets the message which you're trying to pass on. Like always use the good means of communicating. You can choose to be verbal, like even the language you're using also matters, because if let me say I don't understand Swahili and then you happen to communicate to me in Swahili, definitely I'm not going to get the message. So always use a good means so that the party gets to understand, because there are those people who can be in, like for example, of recent we were jazzing with a friend and then he happened to mention how like his colleague told him that his the partner, they've been in marriage for over like 15 years, but the lady, like she had heard something or rumor about the partner and then she kept it at her heart. So all those years she was so like she got angry with the partner because of the rumor, but in actual sense it turned out that the rumor was not even correct. So what do we learn about that? Anything, like if you face it, like anything, if you face it and if you communicate it, you're going to what? You will always get to the bottom of it. You're going to get the truth. Like always face the truth, seek for the truth, even if it hurts. But it's better to know the truth than living in what? In denial. So like that's really, it's really crucial, and I really wanted to talk about it because even when you're there, you have a friend, you have a relative. In most cases, people be going through a lot. Like they be going through a lot, but because you're not like in touch with them, there's no communication, there is no bridge, you don't even know what's really going into their lives. Like sometimes you become judgmental. You'll be like, oh, that person, like Shakira, she used to be my good friend, we used to talk about things, like I was so free with this person, but currently she's so full of herself, but not knowing that like she has a lot going on in her mind or in her life. But because you don't even try to find out what's really happening, you just jump onto conclusions. You get, people are sick, people are going through a lot. So always be there knowing that don't jump into conclusion. Try to seek what's going on into people's lives, try to communicate with them, give advice where necessary, so that you maintain that friendship. Because very many friendships, very many marriages, very many families break up because of that, because of poor communication. So that's what really I wanted to enlighten you guys about. And